Look up at the skyline, everything will be fine.
Hi guys, welcome to my video on the making of my track Skyline, which I released last October in self-isolation. Firstly, I will take you through how I made the main sounds in the track, then we'll show you how I structured everything. Firstly, we will look at the intro and verse chords. This is what they sound like. So for this, I used my favourite synth in Ableton, the operator synth, to frequency modulate triangle waves with each other, different phases, different envelopes, and did a pitch envelope kind of thing, just a little flick down, just for a bit of punchiness. Added compression as well, added a little bit of saturation, very subtle, EQ'd out the low mid frequencies, took out a bit of mud, a bit of clarity there, and filtered out the lows. What I did here was doubled up the sound to made it like a double tracking effect for a bigger sound. Without it, with it, added a bit of saturation and controlled the gain. So for the arpeggiated melody in the verse, I used the operator synth again, saw 3 of the different phase and sine, all different envelopes, used a pitch envelope too, and a filter envelope, just to make it sound a bit better, filtered out the lows, compressed it, a bit of a lower ratio, took out some of the muddy low mids, boosted the highs, added some ping pong delay for a bit of extra space. Without it, it's like this. But as soon as you add the delay, it sounds a lot better, a lot more spacious. Much nicer. And then low pass filter, which we automated coming into the second half of the verse. Quite a long reverb, over 5 seconds. And finally we've got some sidechain compression for later on, and we controlled the gain too. Now onto the drop chords. So here they are. So I used 3 layers here. This layer of chords. Used an analog synth here. Both saws detuned there as well for a big sound. Wavetable synth. Used saw and Galactica there, position spread, so a bit of unison. Then different sound here, another wavetable synth with different waveforms, bit of vibrato, bit of noise added. Then finally a string sample in a kind of arpeggiated thing. Highs boosted, overdriven, gain controlled, higher stereo width as well, and altogether bit of reverb, sidechain compression for the drop, filtered out the lows, EQ'd, and that's pretty much it. And you might all be wondering, how did I make this lead sound? Well, I only used 2 layers here, first one of which sounds like this. So I used the operator synth again, quite a lot of frequency modulation, different envelopes, kind of stuff going on there. An interesting reverb here, the BM7 Academy Yard, where it's kind of like a lot of reverb at the start, goes out and then back again. And then we've got sidechain compression, so when the kick plays, the sound of the lead decreases, creating quite a pumping effect. And controlled the gain here as well. Second layer, very similar sound, but this time we added some overdrive, more sidechain compression, controlled the gain, and the same reverb preset, same decay time too. Altogether, sounds like this. So here's the bass line and the drop. Sidechain compression again. Automated low pass filter. Took out a bit of the highs. Controlled the gain as well. It's made out of these two layers. This is the first one. Quite a warm sound made from the wavetable synth again, echoes and basic shapes, but I warped it, and frequency shifted, which I don't think I actually used. I might have used it a little bit just to correct any tuning, and some saturation too as well, not too obvious. Then we've got this layer. Sorry, Ableton lagged a little bit there. That's made out of the poly synth, just mostly saw, but a bit of pulse wave, bit of chorus as well. So for the drop I decided to add a dubstep growl, and I used a tutorial to design the sound. It was the Barely Alive growl tutorial in Ableton Operator by this YouTuber called Let's Synthesize. Very good tutorial. I've put a link to it in the description. So it sounds like this, and is made up of this part and this part, the sub part, to make it sound a bit bigger and warmer. So this higher part is made out of an operator, used for all four, with sine waves, overdrive, bit of phaser and flanger as well, more overdrive, saturation, and did an automated low pass filter there and filtered out some of the lows. With the sub part, basically is just one sine wave overdriven with phaser, flanger, more overdrive and saturation, and limiting as well. So for the second verse, I used quite a nice ambient pad sound, which sounds like this. I used the wavetable synth, the sawtooth and square wave, the square wave slightly quieter, unison shimmer with 4 voices, and then a long reverb, 100% wet, quite a bit of compression as well, and a bit of modulating the volume as well. Sidechain compression for later on when the kick comes in, filtered out the lows as well, and also took out some of the muddy low mids and controlled the gain. So in the second verse we have a lead sound as well, which sounds like this. So for this I used a mixture between a saw and a pulse wave, mostly saw, added some glide as well, a little bit of compression, this erosion effect as well, bit of delay too, and then sidechain compression for when the kick comes in, filtering out the lows once again, very important, and boosted the highs and controlled the gain. If you've listened to this track before, you might have heard this extra riser before the second drop, which sounds like this. So for this I used the operator synth, used white noise with an OSR filter, maximum resonance, and automated the cutoff frequency to sound like it's going up in pitch. And then I added quite a lot of compression, really took out the low mids and boosted the highs, saturated it as well, a medium curve, used the Valhalla frequency echo plugin, very good free plugin, filtered out the lows and controlled the gain. And finally, onto the vocals. So what I did here is I recorded 5 takes, then comped between them, did some timing fixes and also some tuning fixes with a frequency shifter. Then I added a noise gate, a compressor with ratio 4.1 to 1, filtered out the lows, took out some of the mud here, bit of clarity here, then added a ping pong delay where I automated the dry wet. So as you can see here, it's higher in the chorus but lower in the verse. Then I added some reverb as well, quite a bit of reverb, and automated the dry wet again. If you listen to it without the reverb, it sounds like this.
You won't ever be lost, 'cause there will be a way.
But if you add it in, really makes a big difference.
You won't ever be lost, 'cause there will be a way.
So yeah, it sounds a lot nicer like that. And then controlled the stereo width and also controlled the gain. And now I'm going to play through the track and tell you how I structured it. Here goes. So we've got these chords, as we talked about earlier, in the intro and verse. Got a reverse cymbal leading into the verse. That nice delayed sound. Vocals come in as well. Got the delayed sound again. And then we've got that nice arpeggiated melody starting to come in with a low pass filter. Reverse cymbal too. Now I've got kicks and snares. And got bassline too. So that carries on, but we've got an uplifter here leading into the chorus and a reverb tail. Oh, and a snare too. Right, now the chorus. We've got the same chord sound as in the drop. Lead starts to come in. Got piano chords too, and that nice melody. Fill there. Nice rim rhythm and the snare build up. Really starting to build up with an uplifter and a fill, and now the drop. So we had the dubstep growls, the bass line, the kicks, the lead and the chords. Now we've got the claps and the rides coming in, uplifters and downlifters, and an automated high pass filter on the master with a fill. Now it's the second verse, changed it up a bit. Ambient pad, lead and this nice plucky sound. Nice ping pong delayed stuff as well. Got this melody coming in again, as we saw in the first verse. Bit of a fill and then side chaining going on. So we've got kicks and snares and a bass line. That nice melody from before. Downlifters as well. Fill there and then an uplifter, which leads us into the second chorus. Building up here. So the second chorus, a bit more laid back, a bit more stripped back. Just the piano chords, none of these chords. And that nice melody, low pass filtered. Got a fill there. Another reverb tail and hi-hats before we get into the build up. So we've got the rims at the same time as the snares for a lot of punch. New melody here for more emotion, and the downlifters and uplifters here. And a fill. New riser here, just to add a bit more tension. Really coming in, lead's really coming in now. Fill, and then drop. Same as before. Chords, and then we've got the lead and bass line, dubstep growls and kicks, rides and claps like before, uplifter, high pass filter and fill. And now it's trying to be house music with the offbeat hi-hats, and we've changed up the melody, add a bit of interest, snare fill there, claps and rides come in again, uplifter leading it towards the end of the drop, and another fill, And there it is with that nice ping pong delayed effect at the end. Thanks for watching.